Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you, Max?
I would be doing a lot better if our first episode of this podcast recorded. However, I'm happy to rerun through what we just spoke about and talk about this fantastic weekend of games, Caden. Starting off with college football. Take us into our first match.
Yeah, a little bit of take two here.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so the first game was that Friday night thriller between Syracuse and UNLV.
Yes, sir.
Where I said last Friday, Syracuse, I thought that 6.5 was the two biggest spread for Syracuse, and I thought maybe they'd even come out and win. And yeah, Syracuse came out with that hot start. UNLV then jumped back to take the lead, and it was a back and forth game that entire time. Syracuse had a chance to put it away in the fourth quarter. Kyle McCord threw a pick. UNLV took the lead. Syracuse came back and tied it, then ended up winning in overtime.
Yes, Caden, I was completely wrong about this game. You hit the nail right on the head last week with your prediction. And this game was about momentum.
Yep.
Syracuse with the momentum, UNLV started taking it back. It was back and forth, sequences of plays, but ultimately Syracuse getting it done, doing enough to win, Caden, and you were spot on.
Yep. But yeah, then a game that we were completely wrong on
Another
is the Texas A&M Missouri game. We thought Missouri should have been favored in this game.
We did.
We loved Missouri plus 2.5 in this game.
We very hyped them up.
Then A&M wins 41-10, goes out to a quick 24-0 lead. Every big play Missouri had in that first half, it seemed like, was getting called back due to an offensive penalty. Just all good for A&M, all bad for Missouri.
It was a great showing by A&M. They really dominated Missouri. And it was an impressive win because we talked about Missouri potentially having the advantage in the trenches. And that just wasn't the case. Texas A&M
ran the ball so well.
Ran the ball well, and it was a statement victory for them, Caden. I really like the way the momentum of Texas A&M, the momentum that Texas A&M has right now, and I definitely think they're trending up.
Yeah. They started that season really slow, not looking great. But yeah, they looked amazing on Saturday against Missouri.
Most definitely, Caden.
The other game we had previously talked about on the pod was the SMU-Louisville game.
Yes.
Once again, we thought that 6.5 was too much. We thought SMU was getting a little underrated in this game. And yeah, it was kind of like that Syracuse-UNLV game. A little back and forth. SMU came up on a big lead. Louisville starts coming back. Then eventually at the end, though, SMU gets that late touchdown to take the lead and end up winning that game to now move from being unranked into that top 25 ranking spot where Louisville now is falling out.
Yes, Caden, we've been heaping the praise of SMU the last few episodes. We've talked about that. This is a team we felt was very underrated nationally, and we felt wasn't getting enough respect. SMU came out and played a sound game, Caden. Did enough to secure the victory, and the Mustangs are rolling.
Yep, yeah. And with a guy with a ticket of SMU over 8.5 wins, I love to see them not only cover, but pull out the win against Louisville.
100%, Caden. Every win that they can play is a help for you on that one.
And now, though, talking about the games we didn't talk about, there was a lot of big upsets in college football.
Huge upset weekend.
We called that last episode the week of the underdogs. Yeah, that's what it turned into.
100%.
Before we get to the big game, there's another couple big upsets we want to touch on first. So yeah, that Saturday night, USC went to Minnesota and lost to the Golden Gophers and PJ Fleck 24-17.
Caden, this was a disastrous loss for USC if you were a Trojans fan. They fell pretty flat on their face. Honestly, looked disappointing, Caden. This is a team we hyped up a lot early in the season. We thought Lincoln Riley was going to be able to propel this team up, and they really looked like they were going to be solid early on, and completely just deflating to the season, falling 1-2 in Big Ten play.
Yeah, Miller Moss did not look like was supposed to be like a top 10 team quarterback.
Yes.
Throwing those 2 interceptions against Minnesota. And they ended up losing that game to the Golden Gophers.
Ridiculous game, Caden. And it just sucks if you're USC because that's when you need to win.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, another big upset this time coming in the SEC. You had number 4 ranked Tennessee who went into Arkansas and lost 19-14.
The Piggies, man. How they pulled this win off, Caden, I don't know. On paper, Tennessee should have smashed them. That offense, that high-scoring offense that we've heard so much about, that we've
flat on their face.
They fell flat on their face, Caden, and it was just underperforming day for Tennessee.
It was a complete underperforming day by Tennessee. Putting up 14 points when you're touted as one of the top offenses, not only in the SEC, but in all of college football.
In all of college football, Caden. Just ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, though.
Hold up. Let's talk about the fact that they're still ranked so high.
Oh, yeah. They still have a top 10 ranking even after losing to Arkansas. The SEC bias is a little wild right now.
It's been ridiculous for these SEC teams, which it has been since the creation of the playoff. But I think we just got to continue to call it out. Let's continue to call it out. Dang that, the SEC.
Hey, now we got the big one, though.
The big one. Another SEC battle.
Yeah, we're the number one team in the country. Lost to Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Absolutely ridiculous, Caden. The Mexican-American leading Vanderbilt was never scared, never shied away. I thought potentially when Vanderbilt came out to the early lead, I was like, okay, Alabama's going to respond. They're going to take control over this game, and they're going to secure a victory. But no, Vanderbilt, even when Alabama came within striking distance, they persevered and they continued fighting, punching back, knocked down the top team in college football.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm watching this game, like kind of following along. Yeah, they go up to 13-home lead. I'm like, that's whatever. Slow start for Bama. Bama comes back 13-7. I'm like, yeah, this is more like it. But then Vandy's offense just kept putting up points. It seemed like every drive they were able to put up points. That defense was able to get a pick and a strip sack on Jalen Milroe.
Oh, yeah.
Get this up when they need and ended up, getting that touchdown towards the end of the game. Then stop Bama and won 40-35 against the number one team in the country.
Impressive victory, Caden. Can't say much more about that one. However, I think we do need to mention the fact that Michigan also lost and are somehow still ranked.
But Michigan, Washington goes that game favored by 1. They end up winning by 10. Yeah. Michigan's offense is putrid, especially in the passing game. Alex Orji hasn't, it's like 3 or 4 straight games of under 100 passing yards from him. Like, all they have is Donovan Edwards, and he hasn't looked like, what people were claiming him to be in the offseason.
100% Caden. Underperforming, and I just want to see him out the rankings. I'm upset about it.
Oh, I agree. 100%. Moving in the NFL.
Let's transition over into the NFL. Hold up. But now, who's ranked number 1 now, Caden?
Who's ranked? Oh, yeah. Hook 'em, baby. Texas back at number 1. Big matchup against the Sooners. Red River rivalry this week. We'll talk about that later.
Going to hear it later on in the week.
Moving on to the NFL, though. I need someone to explain to me, apparently, the rule book. Because how is Jalen Polk not in the end zone there? Clearly had the 1 foot down. You look at the replay. Gets basically all this part of his second foot down. But then don't know that's not a catch. Don't know that's not a touchdown.
You know the rule, Caden. You know the heel rule.
But,
it's always been the thing.
We get the ball back. 12 seconds left. No timeouts after a first big good play. Jacoby Brissett's like, let's throw it right down the middle of the field with 12 seconds left and no timeouts.
Let time expire?
Yeah, let time expire. Hunter Henry makes a good catch. Does what he's supposed to do as a tight end.
Which, hold up, let's not talk about the fact that you guys didn't even target Hunter Henry at all that game. Yeah. You had him in the backfield blocking on pass plays, not giving Hunter Henry a chance to get open, which we know Jacoby Brissett likes him as a security blanket.
Yeah, he was targeting. For some reason, Austin Hooper was getting a lot of targets. Like, Hunter Henry is your number 1 tight end.
Yes.
He should be getting all the targets. You saw what he did against the Seahawks a couple weeks ago. Yeah, he should have been getting the rock a lot more.
It was ridiculous, Caden. Talking about my team, the Denver Broncos, Caden, snapping the streak against the Las Vegas Raiders. A dominating performance, which it didn't start out that way. Raiders came out, and I was almost like, here we go again, right? Came out to the early 10-0 lead. The Broncos offense was just flat. It was ridiculous. And then the Raiders are driving again on us, Caden. And
what happened there?
Then the man himself, Patrick Surtain, snatches the momentum straight out of Gardner Minshew's palm, turns it 100 yards the opposite way, bringing life into the stadium. Bronco Mania is reinstated just like it was in 1977, Hayden, donning the best uniforms in the NFL,
one of the best.
And everything looked the Broncos' favor after that, Caden, moving forward. The momentum completely shifted. The running game got going. The passing game got going. And when the Broncos kept stacking points, the Raiders couldn't keep up, and they pulled away to a solid victory.
Yeah, that Broncos defense played great, getting the 3 interceptions between Minshew and O'Connell. Riley Moss supporting.
Yeah.
And then, then I do want to mention, though, the big throw by Bo Nix that was dropped in the end zone by Troy Franklin. Even though it was dropped, it's great to see Bo Nix be able to make those throws and put it right on the money.
Yes, when Bo Nix has not grown up against a top 5 defense, Caden, he's looked well.
He's looked really well, I would say.
And Troy Franklin, what has plagued him in camp and during the offseason, drops. It's the reason why he hasn't been on the field as much. And once again, he had the opportunity to make a big play, and he dropped it.
Yep. Also, though, in that morning slate, we had a game where, I called on this one. I thought, with it being in Houston at NRG, I thought Houston was going to be able to pull out that victory, which they ended up doing 23-20. C.J. Stroud looked great in the first about 3 quarters.
He did.
In that fourth, he threw that pick, had that strip sack, which made the game really close. Bills tied it up at 20. And then You want to talk about what happened there at the end with the Bills?
Absolute atrocious clock management. They thought they were playing Madden out there, I guess, Caden, with the way the Bills came out and decided to throw 3 straight passes from their own end zone, burn no time off the clock, and then punt it from their back of their own end zone right back to the Texans, who then got a fantastic return. For the Bills, who had momentum in this game, who were able to dig themselves out of an early hole, they should have finished this game off and took it into overtime.
Yeah. Hand it off on that first play, just to make sure, you're not getting a safety or nothing.
Give yourself some breathing room.
Yeah. And then it's not like the Texans were going to call any timeouts. They didn't have enough to get the ball back or anything.
Nope.
That game was just going to go to overtime. And all the momentum was in the Bills' favor going in there.
On the road.
Dan Sean McDermott's like, now let's throw the ball 3 times from our own 3-yard line and then punt it back so the Texans can get a last-second field goal to win the game.
It was crazy, Caden. But ultimately, you were right. Texans came in with the victory and took away a dub, and they're looking good.
Looking at 4-1 now.
The Texans are definitely one of the premier teams in the AFC.
Yes, sir.
With the Broncos at 5th, might I add. Broncos at 5th.
Hey, fight for that wild card.
3 straight wins, 2 on the road. It's looking good. It's a lot of football left, Caden, and the AFC is a fun conference.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, going into our primetime games this week. We had that Sunday night game started off, with a weather delay. We got delayed, started off late. And then, like I'd said on Friday, I thought the wrong team was favored in this game. I don't think the Steelers are any good. I know
you said that.
Obviously Mike Tomlin will find ways to get his team wins.
And I thought at home with that defense, they would win.
And I mean, the final score 20-17. It's not like it was a high-scoring affair or anything.
No.
Yeah, the Cowboys on that 4th and goal with 20 seconds left were able to get that touchdown to Jalen Tolbert to end up winning that game.
Absolutely ridiculous, Caden. I will say I had Dak Prescott 200-plus passing yards paired with Rico Dowdle 50-plus rushing yards, an anytime touchdown score, and Justin Fields to throw 1 pass touchdown. That cashed. Fantastic weekend of bets.
Yeah, it was a great weekend between college, NFL.
And we're going to
touch on it in a minute after we talk about this Monday night game.
Yes.
Which we were both right on. We thought in Arrowhead, with the way the Saints have been playing these last couple weeks, the Chiefs were going to come in, get the dub, be able to cover that 5.5 easy. And they did exactly that.
They did that, Caden. At some points, it looked like maybe the Saints were going to crawl back. They kept the game entertaining enough early on. Patrick Mahomes had a turnover. They had some miscues. Kind of looked not like the Chiefs that are going to blow through everyone in the playoffs. However, did enough to win by double digits and secure a victory we thought they would get.
And they're still 5-0.
100%.
One of the only undefeated team with the Vikings, who are both, on a bye this week.
Yes, Caden.
Yeah, on that Patrick Mahomes interception, though. That big boy was moving.
Yes, he was.
That boy was moving.
When he initially started running, I'm like, why did you not take the knee? But he turned on the burners, made a couple agile moves, broke some tackles, and got a good return out of that, Caden. Impressive athletic play from the premier physique in all of athletics.
Oh, of course. Easily
100%.
the premier physique. Just look at Daniel Vogelback.
Yes. Moving into what we had as our probably greatest weekend on the pod.
Oh,
and we went what, Caden?
Oh, we went 6-0.
Where did we go, Caden?
A nice 6-0.
If you didn't hear that one more time, 6-0 in our UFC picks. Starting off with Joaquin Buckley. Tell us about the fight.
So yeah, Wonder Boy, was looking good in those first rounds. And the one thing we said in the pod, we don't want to see Wonder Boy die.
No, we did not.
And then in that 3rd round, Joaquin Buckley murdered our boy, Wonder Boy.
Wonder Boy. We thought Wonder Boy would be agile enough to avoid that strike. We mentioned how Buckley had the power to turn his lights off at any moment with that strength, with that agility. And eventually, although Wonder Boy started off looking good, Buckley turned it on when he needed to, Caden. Got the punch and sent Wonder Boy home.
Yeah. Then to open up our main card, we had Ketlin Vieira and Kayla Harrison, where Kayla Harrison was able to get the dub, not in an impressive way by any means.
I wouldn't say it was impressive.
But she did what she had to do to walk away with the victory.
Credit Ketlin. Early on, she was able to stuff the takedowns of Kayla Harrison. Really frustrated her, I'd say. This is the closest fight she's had in the UFC. And I thought she put on a good performance based on what the odds were. On the flip side, Kayla Harrison eventually was able to take her down later on in the fight to secure the victory. Was not overly impressed. I think if she were to fight Amanda Nunes, although she's retired, she would get starched.
I don't care. Yeah, Amanda Nunes could hop off the couch. And I think she still beats Kayla Harrison.
I agree, kid.
Going to that next fight, though, we had Roman Dolidze and Kevin Holland. Where, we had said the underdog Roman Dolidze should be able to come out with that victory. And he ended up getting that round 1 doctor stoppage TKO.
Most definitely, Caden. We said he's the bigger fighter, obviously, with the fluctuating of weight classes. We know Kevin Holland's competed at 170. He's competed as high as 205. big difference, and that showed. He took him down, really started mauling on Kevin Holland, and I didn't think Kevin was going to find a way to win regardless, but ultimately that ground scrambling resulted to an injured rib.
Yeah, ended up breaking his rib. Probably doctor comes in, waves out the fight, and it ends there. But Dolidze was looking really good.
Yes,
in that first round.
And hey, and it's a win on our cards nonetheless.
Yes, it is. That next card though, which is a little contested between the fans.
Yes,
I would say, was the Jose Aldo and Mario Batista fight where Batista ended up winning by split decision.
I'll say, I don't know why the fans are contested because I thought it was a great fight, kid.
I thought
it was an entertaining fight, and I think Batista did do enough to get the win.
Yeah, they're just mad because Batista in that third round just did what he had to do to get the win. Yes. Aldo could have done something, could have tried to get out of the hold at the fence. He didn't try to get out of it or anything. So Batista did what he had to do, and
I agree that Batista was the one pushing forward. Yep. He was trying to engage and he was throwing the more strikes. He was the more active fighter. Yep. It's not his fault. Jose would just get up on the fence and be stuck.
Yeah, and just stand there.
But ultimately, that was another pick correct for us.
Yes, it is. Yeah, going into the co-main with the women's bantamweight championship on the line. You had Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena, which also went to a split decision.
It went to
with a decisive first round being the deciding factor, where Juliana Pena ended up winning.
Yes, Caden. All judges' scorecards had the later rounds the same, and I think unanimously MMA fans kind of agreed on those last 3-ish rounds. Pennington finished strong, right?
She finished really strong.
I think though Juliana Pena's start was enough. If you looked at the fight again, I think the fact that Pena was so dominant in those end rounds that it left an impression on the fans that she was the one who won the fight.
It definitely left an impression on the fans that Pennington had won with the way she was working that fifth round, in that fourth round. Yeah, it came down. So all the judges' scorecards, 2 through 5, were all the same. That deciding factor was that round one, where 2 had it for Pena, 1 had it for Pennington. I thought Pena did a little bit more in that round to win that round, but I could see where fans and other people are coming from where they said Pennington could have won round one.
It's such a close round, right? Yeah. And that's why it comes down to almost within the judge's case, it almost comes down to maybe something you miss. Exactly. You could miss a split section of action. You can miss something that weighs in your mind in either direction with such a close round. But ultimately, Pena got the belt back, and it was a correct pick for us.
Yes, and then going into the main event, Pereira, got the win, like I said, but hey, props to Khalil Roundtree. He looked very impressive and really good in that fight.
Round of applause for Khalil Roundtree. He said he was going to stand up, which everyone's like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Probably still is a fair idea.
It's still a fair, because it's with Pereira.
Out of anyone other than named Israel Adesanya, he looked the best in there with Pereira. Yep. He took some good shots from Pereira. And not only that, he thumped Pereira.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, even though we had it 2-1 Pereira going to that fourth, a lot of people also had it being, 2-1 Roundtree going to that fourth round. Roundtree was looking really good. Then that fourth round came.
Caden, a man possessed, got up off that stool. Not the same fighter that was in the first 3 rounds. Poton really showed why he's one of the most feared champions in the UFC. A dominant performance, Caden. And it's like when he got in that mode and those combinations started flying, everything was landing.
Oh, yeah. You showed me that picture after the fight. It showed Khalil Rountree's face after that fourth round. His face smushed in, blood everywhere. You could tell it looked like he'd been in a car wreck. He looked like in a car wreck. He'd taken an absolute beating.
Smashed in, and you can't even blame the guy. Oh, no. Not only that, the calf kicks that Poton was striking him with throughout the fight. I don't think he was going 5 rounds regardless of the knockout.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with you. Yeah, you could tell that those calf kicks were affecting him bad. He wasn't putting as much pressure on that lead foot, and it was affecting his ability to move forward and attack first towards Pereira.
And it's so ridiculously hard to tell when those kicks are coming. As we've discussed, Pereira not switching over those hips.
Yeah. His shoulders will stay square-shooting. He's just calf kick.
There's a reason why he's a top 3 pound-for-pound fighter, one of the most active champions, and a rising fan favorite. Oh, yeah. It was a fantastic card.
It was a great card. I would agree, yes.
I was a big fan of this card. We talked about how we were excited for this card, and it definitely lived up to the expectations. Yep. Well, Caden, it was a fantastic week of betting for us.
Yes, it was.
Make sure you guys are on the alert for our baseball cards and predictions coming out later on this week as well. And not only that, follow us on our socials.
Subscribe to the YouTube. Turn on post notifications.
Most definitely. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all next time.